You're listening to another episode of the Coaster 101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and as someone who is, let's say, a little older when it comes to the content creation space in theme parks, I'm not as video savvy. I talk into this podcast, but we don't have video because nobody needs to see that. But fortunately, I've got somebody on the podcast this week who has, in my opinion, I mean, he is young, but he has probably mastered the theme park content creation video space. I think with some of the things that he's done in the last year plus, I'd like to refer to him as the most interesting man in theme park content creation. Almost like the Dos Equis commercial, which I don't even know if he's old enough to drink a Dos Equis at this point. But I want to bring in Bryan. Those of you who are on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all of these content platforms probably know him better as Zooder Loopers. Bryan, welcome to the Coaster 101 podcast.
Awesome. Hey guys, thank you so much, Andrew. That is an introduction that I never thought I'd be getting. So I am beyond flattered to even be referred to anything close as interesting.
Hey, listen, like I said, you have done some amazing things, and we'll get into it here. I mean, again, you're kind of on the scene. I don't know how long you've been doing this, but your content has kind of popped up on my feed recently, and everything from the Red Bull roller coaster to getting to Dollywood at 3 a.m. to Adam Sandy at IAAPA throwing away the trophy you gave him, which was the best piece of IAAPA content I saw last year. So I gotta know though, like, how did you first kind of stumble into this world of theme park content creation?
Dude, it's funny. And as I talk to more and more people within the space, I find there's a lot of parallels to my story with a lot of other people. I grew up in Southern California, and I was terrified of roller coasters. It all started, I was 3 years old. My dad forced me on the Matterhorn the moment I was tall enough, and I came off that thing crying. I had sworn off coasters for like the next 17 years of my life. And I got into, when I moved down here to Florida, I rode Mako at SeaWorld Orlando, and something just clicked. It was like, wait, I really like this. This is really fun. Then I just saw people online being able to, make a living out of this. And immediately I knew that was what I wanted to do. I want to ride roller coasters, share that story, share my story of conquering that fear, because that was a huge thing for me. And see, can I share that with people online? And eventually the end goal was to always make a living from it.
And you're well on your way, if not doing it full time at this point, right?
I have been doing it full time since last February. So it's been nothing short of a blessing that I get to do this full time.
I love it. It is awesome. And like I said, your content to me, it comes from authentic. I think is the best way I can describe it. You show up to these parks, you have a lot of fun with it. And I think that for people who we cover this industry, but because it's fun, it's coasters, it's theme parks, it's fun. It's not meant to be stressful. We don't have to focus on positives or negatives or anything like that. But it's like, you just have so much fun doing it. And that kind of comes across in your content and your videos. So want to commend you for that. We got to talk about a couple of things you've done in the past, let's call it since last February. First thing I want to talk about is the National Roller Coaster Museum and Archives. Because this happened last year. You and our buddy Scott Schaefer, Upstop Media, for those who don't know, and Collywood Studios, I believe his name's Colin. Don't know him like that, but I think that's his name. You guys kind of teamed up in tandem with our buddy Chris Roberry and the National Roller Coaster Museum, and you were part of what was called Teal Team 6. How does this come together?
Dude, I mean, it was a whole crazy thing. I remember it started way back when Scott and Chris and a team of a lot of very talented people within the space debuted their movie with Ace, The Legacy of Schwarzkopf.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic movie. I would highly recommend watching it if you haven't. Great documentary. I like a little sidetrack. I never thought I could cry during a movie about roller coasters, and then they mentioned Montezuma's Revenge, which is a ride I am very personally attached to, and I mean I was tearing up. But I digress. That was when rumors of King Ka being removed were floating around, and I talked to Chris Roberry about it, and I'm like, dude, if you like, if it really happens, because everyone was in disbelief at the time, it was like, come on, that's so far fetched, that's never gonna happen. But I told Chris, I'm like, are you gonna acquire it? And he kind of like blew me off. He was like, don't even like bother me about that. But I believe it was, yeah, like April of, was that last year? Yeah, April of last year. Very early April. I remember it was the same day as my dad's birthday, so April 12th. Before they had put the announcement online, Chris is like, "So I've acquired like, you know, King Ka. This is gonna happen, and I want you to document the journey." And I mean, after that, everything fell into place. I called up Scott. I'm like, I need you because if you know anything about Scott, he builds the best rigs we've seen in this space. I'm like, I want you to rig up the truck completely. Like, we need to make this happen. Colin and his crew were like offered to drive it, which worked out really well. Because if you know anything about me, I am one of the worst drivers out there. Um, but I mean, it all just worked out really well. We were 5 days just driving across the country, transporting one of the most historic pieces of, this space. And I hope we did it a justice.
I think so. Did you guys ever release like a full documentary? I know I saw bits and pieces. Was there like a full like day by day breakdown that was released?
Well, so I know Colin made a whole bunch of videos. I don't believe Scott released anything on his platform, but I definitely I dropped a day by day short form series on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts, and then we did a long form YouTube video documenting the entire journey from point A to point B. At the time, that was my best performing YouTube video I ever made, and so it was a big moment for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I again, like I said, piece of history. It's so cool that you guys got to do it, and it was like kind of a for fans by fans type movement. I feel like, and we've had Scott on the podcast a couple of times, and it's just like when you're passionate about something like you guys all are, it all shows, and that is it's really unique. What were on that journey? And I want to also go back to Montezuma's Revenge. You mentioned tearing up with that, and you're going to have a chance to re-ride that here in a little bit.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But what were some of the things on that journey with King Ka that you kind of? I know you made some stops along the way, but what were some of the things that you guys saw? What were some of the really cool moments behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just being able to document something that meant so much to so many people, and being able to hear all the different stories, because mine was always rooted in my fear of King Ka. Me and my dad, growing up, we would always watch Coaster Force POVs, and it was only like specifically Coaster Force POVs. We were like, "This is the best in the game. We will not watch anything but Coaster Force." But we would always watch Coaster Force POVs of roller coasters before we'd go to parks, because even though I hated them, he would force me on them regardless. So he's like, this is his way of showing me, look, it's not that bad. Look, that drop is 2 seconds long. You could deal with it. But King Ka was the one that always showed up on the recommended page. We'd always watch it, and that like those 12 seconds was just enough for me to be like, yeah, I am never getting on that ride. And so a year before the trip, we rode it, and that was just like the biggest moment. And then it was just so hard for me to even process, because the train that we took was the same exact seats that I sat into when we took it, and it was just like just such a full circle moment.
Okay. Hey, I love it. Listen, you're like shaking your head. You're getting a little emotional right now. I can see it. It's I am glad you finally did get on it though. I mean, it is one of those things that you made it so long after your fear of the Matterhorn, and there was a whole world out there. And I mean, you again, like you said, your dad kind of forced you on him, but something finally clicked, right?
Hey, exposure therapy works.
Oh my gosh, that's great. And so I'm just gonna go off the Zooder Looper highlights reel of 2025.
Go for it.
You you've done some work with Red Bull. Red Bull had the roller coaster. I don't remember the exact. It's Red Bull has all of these like extreme challenges, and I think they called this one the Red Bull roller coaster. And you and a partner, you built a bike that looked like a car on Air Force One, and you've done a ton of work with FunSpot too. Like, I guess the first question is, how did the partnership with FunSpot kind of come to be? Second, how does this roller coaster bicycle? And third, we're not going to talk about how you finished because it was it was it was a little made a big splash. But let's talk about your work with FunSpot and the Red Bull thing.
Yeah, yeah, the finish is definitely not the highlight of that journey, but I mean, our relationship with Red Bull, with FunSpot, my bad. Our relationship with FunSpot started way before that. It was at IAAPA. There was a press conference led by Cole from Park Pros,
Mm-hmm.
and he mentioned us as an example of a micro influencer. But like, he painted it in a good light. He's like, they have a small following, but they have high engagement amongst their audience. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll take it. But no, that was great. And then after that meeting, the marketing lady with FunSpot, her name is Rachel. She slid me her business card, and she goes, "This is the influencer table," and I'm like, oh, "That's me." And she was the one I ended up riding with on that bicycle run. But yeah, so the vice president of marketing for Red Bull, he followed us on Instagram, and we were like, what the heck? We didn't even know this was happening. Um, and then he just messages us. He's like, yo, this is happening. Do you want to be in it? We check it out, and this, like, we had missed the sign up by one day. And we're like, oh, well, I mean, we'd love to. And he's like, yeah, we could get you in. So I called up FunSpot like at 9 p.m. that night, that Rachel lady, call her up, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry it's late, but this is happening. I sent her the link of the videos that, like, where they've done it in the past, and they want us to do it. Can we build Air Force One, and can we take it on? She's like, let me call someone else. Hangs up, call someone else. 20 minutes later, she's like, we're good. And then we got entered in. Then it was just a matter of creating the bike in 5 days and putting it on the track.
So this whole thing came together in less than a week, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah, it was a really, really hectic time. But yeah, shout out to the whole Red Bull team, the whole FunSpot team for pulling through on such a short notice. They lent us their like maintenance area. We built the bike in the FunSpot maintenance bay.
How did you build it? I mean, this is presumably a tandem bicycle that you have upfit or however you've built it, but what went into the actual build of this?
Absolutely. I would not go as far to call myself an artist. So it was a lot of just like Googling things and being like, okay, well, Air Force works because it's such a like geometrically simple build. Like if we were doing something like Wildcat's Revenge and you told me to sculpt that, like, what is the animal? Like whatever.
It's a wildcat.
Oh, okay, a wildcat. I didn't know that was a real animal. Yeah, but like if I had to sculpt a real animal like coming out, I'd be toast. But Air Force is so simple, so I'm like, okay, we could do this totally. And we just got a bunch of like foam boards.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, like they're used by like cosplayers and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, we could totally nail that. And then we had 2 days to just build it right there in the maintenance bay. We put all the foam together, used a bunch of Gorilla Glue, and just like prayed that it would stay together. It didn't right off the bat. So the maintenance guy, their like main maintenance guy, he got like a piece of steel and welded it to our bike so that it could hold up the front zero car.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you have actual, maintenance roller coaster, not engineers, but roller coaster maintenance who have, for lack of a better term, jerry rigged a coaster zero car on your tandem bicycle.
Literally.
And then you show up to this place, I believe it was in Orlando, and you the video exists. We'll link it in the show notes. We're not going to tell the world how you did, but I did kind of mention that you didn't make it very far down the track. You started kind of strong. And I'm not going to say started strong. You started kind of strong, and then it just kind of fumbled a little bit. But it's okay. The video's out there.
Yeah.
We'll link it for sure.
It's really funny because if you notice or if you pay close attention, we practiced that bike on every one of Fun Spot's go-kart tracks. We were so confident going into it. Once we get up there and they blow the horn for us to go, the chain got caught on the kickstand. So we literally couldn't pedal. And that's what caused us to nosedive into the water.
That's a very convenient excuse, Bryan. Oh my gosh. And then, some more content highlights. I want to talk about my home park of Carowinds. You put out a video. Our buddy Hunter Hernandez was in that video. You had a layover where you're like, I got a 4-hour layover in Charlotte, and I got to go ride Fury. I mean, to me, as someone who lives in this area and is like, can make it probably from the rental car lot or the Uber lot at Charlotte to Carowinds in like 15 minutes flat. Seems like you had a little bit more of a saga on this one. Like,
yeah,
you guys were in a car accident, but you still made it and you still got to do it. You know, when you're coming up with a video idea like this and you do some other, I'm going to call them challenges. They're not really challenges, I feel like. But I mean, you did the one at SeaWorld San Antonio where you had to ride 5 rides before your flight. You do these things where you get to parks at 3 a.m. to try to be the first person there. When you're coming up with content, how do you kind of ideate, and what's the process there?
Oh, man, there are so many things that we go through when, like, in the ideation process. We have a whole board of just ideas, and some of these things, like, we've been planning for years in advance. I mean, there are some that are just now happening that we have been road mapping for like a year and a half. But I mean, so much goes into ideation. Some less than others, like the one that you said with the layover. We were in New York and we were coming back, and it was like, okay, I could get the direct to Orlando, or I could have a 4-hour layover in Charlotte and just see if I could go on Fury. So that was just a spur of the moment type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, so much ideation goes into it. I'm really, really like thankful to have a lot of friends who also do YouTube full time, and so a lot of ideas get pushed back and forth between some of my buddies, and then it's just like finding the right hooks, finding the right opening shot, trying to like see how can we tell this story in the best way possible.
Right. What's the average, like, how much editing and back end work are you doing for like an average, call it, 90-second TikTok?
Yeah, so like a 90-second TikTok takes me anywhere from like, depending on how many edits, like usually 1 hour and 30 minutes to like 3 hours if I'm really, really productive. Just like, it really, really depends on the situation. If I'm using footage from my 360 camera, that sometimes makes things a little trickier. But I mean, a lot of the times it's usually around that 3-hour mark.
Cool. And that is one TikTok. That is,
yeah,
man.
I mean, I have a whole process because it starts with me. I put together the entire timeline,
mm-hmm.
and then I go through and I select the music that I believe would be fitting for the video. Then I put in sound effects. Then I mute all the sound effects and the music, and I put in all the captions. And then once the captions are in is when I put in the graphics. And so that's my checklist.
That's a strong checklist, and it's part of the reason that it's like, that's why I've never really gravitated towards video. It's like, it's a lot of work, and the work that you and all of these content creators, some of them Florida-based, some others of them not Florida-based. That's why the content is so good these days, because you guys are putting all that effort into it. So it is appreciated as the audience who sees it, and they're like, okay, well, this is more than just a coaster reverse POV. There's some story behind it. You put out one recently, you went to SeaWorld Orlando with your girlfriend. Was she actually scared of Mako, or were you making up that narrative for the sake of content?
No, we try to like never really fake stuff.
Okay.
Like I'm all for let's tell the best story, but I believe the best story like will shine in authenticity. And so she's very interesting because she wants to go on roller coasters, but there is a little underlying fear there, and I think it amplifies once you're at the top of the lift hill. Um,
Oh,
but it's always a good time for sure.
and then you had, I mean, I don't know how this worked. You presumably had somebody in the row ahead of you who had the camera out to the side and was like shooting back at the two of you guys, because that wasn't your handheld POV.
No. You'll find out one thing. I do it sometimes, but I hate seeing my own arm in POVs. So if I have like the team to do it, I will always like have a person sit in the row in front of me and hold out my 360 camera to the side, just because I hate seeing my own arm in POVs.
Okay. How big of a team are you working with?
It really depends. Sometimes I'm solo. Sometimes we'll have like for IAAPA we had up to 4 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean it's really great whenever I can have a whole team to like produce the content. Usually we'll have like a minimum of 2 to 3 cameras running at a time.
This is like blowing my mind right now. And it's like you're, again, 20, 21 years old, however old you are right now. And it's like, you got this shit figured out.
I mean, I wouldn't say figured out. We're always every single time we produce a video, it's how can we one up the last one, and
Uh-huh.
so we never like to say that we've figured it out because
Oh,
there's always improvement to be had. But
that's,
I do appreciate it.
yeah. And I mean, I got to tell the story because, again, the video, we will link this one in the show notes too. Brian's girlfriend riding Mako, presumably for the first time, maybe not. I'm assuming yes.
Yeah,
Um, so my wife is not a coaster person. And when we first started dating like 6 years ago, I, you know, in the talking stage, I was like, hey, will you ride a roller coaster with me? And she's like, yeah, I'll ride a roller coaster with you. I grew up going to Hershey Park and Six Flags Great Adventure. And she's like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I take her to Carowinds. We've been dating for like 3 or 4 months at this time. And we go to Copperhead Strike. Because I'm like, she's not going to get on Fury. It's too tall. She's not going to get on what was Intimidator, now Thunder Striker. It's too tall. Copperhead Strike's not that tall, but it has that slow JoJo roll out of the station. It's got all of the hang time. And I will say she's not a roller coaster person. I'm very lucky to still be married because I don't think she wanted to talk to me after that. But it is like, I'm glad that the reaction on Mako was a little better for you.
yeah, for sure. It's funny. I mean, I'm glad it worked out for you because when I was like before I was with my girlfriend, when I was dating, if they didn't ride roller coasters, it was a no go because it's like, well, this is kind of my whole shtick. This is my job.
It's my whole shtick. I love that.
Yeah, what you hate is what pays the bills. So
This is true. Well, it seems like you figured it out. But also at SeaWorld, I got to go back another. You were on stage with Flo Rida. And, like, again, most interesting man in the world type stuff here. You go from Red Bull, Flugtag roller coaster, whatever it is, as Air Force One. Several months later, you were on stage with a microphone in your hand, by the way, dancing with Flo Rida.
yep.
Like, how did, like, presumably it's a relationship with SeaWorld, and they're like, yeah, you can come on stage, but how does that whole thing come to be?
Dude, so when we found out Flo Rida was in town, Flo Rida always goes to SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, first of all. So we're like, we've seen him on the lineup like 3 different times, and we've never really gone. But I'm like, I want to see it this time. So we went out, we got front row, like we got the barricade seats and everything. And then halfway through the set, he just goes, all the fellas go up on stage. And I just book it. I'm like, you know what? When else am I gonna have a chance? Because there was a crowd of people up there, so I just booked it up there, and somehow a microphone was given to me I was so scared because I didn't know any other words except for the chorus. As like, most other flow, I listen to a lot of punk rock,
Yeah.
and that's about it. Um, Not a lot of Flo Rida.
No, that's okay.
So like, I was so glad that the microphone was not on because I would have made a fool of myself.
That's all
But
good.
yeah, no, that was just it. It all happened in a blink of an eye, and it was like, okay, now I'm up on stage with Flo Rida.
How much of your life is just based on pure vibes? You're like, I'm just going. I'm just gonna do this, and like, it's almost like the Jim Carrey movie Yes Man a little bit, where you're like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll go up on stage with Flo Rida. Like, are you just going with the flow?
Well, yeah, I feel like that's such a good way to live your life. Like, I don't know. I am a massive overthinker at the core of things, but I feel like some of my best decisions are made when I make decisions on a whim. And I don't know. I've always been a very impulsive person at the same time. And I mean, maybe it's just growing up in Southern California, but I live by the saying, go with the flow. It's such a great way to live. And some of the best things that have happened to me have just fallen into my lap.
Yeah, and part of the going with the flow. Earlier this year, you were at Dollywood for opening day, um, pass holder preview day, and you showed up at the park at what time?
3 a.m.
Okay, first of all, do you ever sleep?
When I can.
Okay,
Yeah, when time allows for it.
I mean time would have allowed, but I understand you got to be first in, and you've done this I think in a couple of parks now where you're like, I want to be the first person in, I want to ride. I think you did it at Fiesta Texas, I think you did it at Dollywood, you've done it maybe a couple other places. What's the mindset behind I want to be the first person in?
I mean, it's always just like, I don't know, maybe it's bragging rights. It's kind of just like a lot of the mindset behind a lot of those videos is just like, well, it's possible. So how hard is it to do? Like Magic Kingdom, we rope dropped that one, and that one actually wasn't that hard. You just got to show up at 7 a.m. and book it to the like furthest like tap point. But like it's kind of just like putting to rest the thought in my mind. It's something like it's like an impulsive thought that just pops into my head, and I'm like, you know what? I need to find out.
Okay. Hey, listen. So when you go to a park like Magic Kingdom, where I think you pulled into the Contemporary and walked, like
Yeah.
you can't get on the monorail, can't get on the ferry boat. You Ubered to the Contemporary and walked over, and we're like just loitering. And I think you know people when these rides open, they're like, we won't let anybody in until 5 a.m. And then
Yeah.
but there's people standing 30 feet away at 4:30 in the morning. Like, are you getting weird looks when you're doing stuff like this?
Well, so for Magic Kingdom, we pulled into the Contemporary at like 4 a.m., I believe.
Uh huh.
And Disney security shut us down quick. They're like, no, you guys got to get out of here. Like, don't loiter around here. Disney does not play around.
No,
Um, so we always, one thing is we will always follow the rules.
of
If
course.
we're told to leave, we are not going to put up a fight. We are not here to cause trouble. I just want to be the first ones in the gate. So we Ubered out of there to a McDonald's, stayed at the McDonald's till like 7 a.m., went through like 3 hash browns. It was great. And at 7 a.m., we Ubered back to the Contemporary, dropped us off at the walking path, and then security even encouraged it. They're like, run. And we're like, okay. Because they're like, you're not in the park yet. You can run. So we ran all the way up to the tap styles, and we just by sheer luck got in first.
Oh
So
my gosh! And
yeah,
like, was security like at that point when you came back and you explained to them what you're trying to do? They're like, "Yeah, we'll do this. Like, we're in it. We're in it with you. Like, we're gonna help you create this moment." Or are they still just like kind of rolling their eyes and be like, "You're doing what with who and why?"
um, I think like we try to not explain that it's for a YouTube video,
Okay.
which we do get weird looks because we have a big camera rig that we carry around with us, but Um, we just try to be like, you know, hey, we're trying to be the first guest in the gates. Can we like we're like what would be the best advice, you know? And we do try to talk to the employees and stuff like that. But that 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 does kind of go back to the thought process of like what goes into our ideation,
Hmm.
because if I can't explain it in one sentence, then it's too complex of an idea. It needs to be digestible and understandable by everyone, you know, whether it's
Hmm.
a security guard at Disney or someone who's ridden 10,000 roller coasters. So,
Speaking of 10,000 roller coasters, do you keep track of your credits?
I do. I think I'm at 192, something like that. I'm almost at 200. I
Do you
don't have
have
I don't know what's going to be my 200.
all this ideation? You don't know what your 200th roller coaster is going to be?
It's funny. I stopped caring about my coaster count
Okay, fair.
because and it's not even like I like the number. I think it's cool. Like I like keeping track of the number. I hate when I travel to these parks, I don't have much time. And it kind of plays into like those videos where it's like, well, I have 1 hour at the park. Can I get on 5 rides? You know?
Hmm.
Um, we try to do something that we like to call endurance tourism. And it's like always being on the go, like provides for some of the best like adrenaline rush, and it's where I perform the best. And so it's like there was one trip I remember, it was my very first trip to Carowinds. We were still credit hunting, and we wrote everything in almost everything that was open. But the last credit was a 2 hour line for Ricochet, and I waited in it, and that was something that I felt really really stupid about doing because I'm like, I don't even wait this line for Hagrid's, but I'm
No,
gonna wait it for Ricochet just for a number that nobody really cares about when I could be lapping Fury right now. So that was what kind of like put a stop to me really caring about the number. However, I use LogRide and it just naturally keeps track of that number for me.
gotcha.
If it wasn't for LogRide though, I would not have that number off the
No.
top of the dome.
And it's funny, like I use coaster count for the same reason. And it's like somebody asked me this the other day because I'm the guy at work who's the roller coaster guy, and they find out that I write for a website and I host a podcast and I travel around and ride all these coasters. Like, how many have you ridden? I was like, I don't know, like 300 and something. And then I looked it up and it was like 326 or whatever it is. So yeah, it's fun to kind of keep track of that number.
Yeah.
I love the endurance tourism. I want to use that, like find a way to like put that put that term into the zeitgeist, because that is like that's hilarious stuff. I've seen you like you. I feel like you and a couple other content creators have been in the parks, and it's like, hey, I got like I have 15 minutes. Can we ride Tron before the park closes or something like that? That was you, right?
I'm not sure.
Maybe it
I
was.
know
Maybe
I've
it
like
wasn't.
tried to see. I did a video at Disney seeing like if wait times were accurate, but
Yes.
yeah, I don't know if I did anything with Tron. I took one of my friends on Tron though. Like I have a friend from South Africa, and I took him on Tron, and he loved it because he's like a huge car guy. So like he's like, and he's a huge Tron fan. So like he literally felt like he was in the movies. Like in the
Okay.
video, you could see him revving the motorcycle.
It's fantastic. And then, again, you've, like I said, worked with some really cool people on the way. You've worked with FunSpot. You put together a collab with Intamin at IAAPA for the Fast and the Furious ride vehicle. It's like I said at the beginning of the show, dude. You are the most interesting man in theme park content creation right now, because it is just like the things that so many people are like, "Oh, I wish I could do that." You've done it, and you're continuing to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also just like don't be afraid. Just do things, and that's where like I think my impulsivity is my best my biggest like weapon. Or it's my best tool. Because there is like it literally comes down to just the worst they could say is no, you know. And so with Intamin, it was they had actually followed us on Instagram during the King Ka trip, and with that, I told them, I'm like, hey, I just want to like see if whoever's behind this count is at IAPA. because I'm here all 4 days and I just want to say thank you for the support. Unfortunately, the dude behind it was in Switzerland or Sweden at the time, one of the two. Um, and he was like, I can't make it, but if you want to film anything with the Fast and the Furious ride vehicle, let us know. And we were like, what? Because the whole time it was off limits. Like you could take pictures of it,
Yeah.
but there was like a sign saying like do not touch, do not step in. Like it was big time off limits. So we're like, no way. Um we're like we have to do something. Like everyone was dropping their like, oh, this is the ride vehicle like reveal, and we're like, we have to do something different, and so we just took a chance, and we're like, what if we pitch it to them like we're doing a car salesman bit, but with the roller coaster. So it'll be like this bad boy tops out at 72 miles per hour, which for a car is terrible. But
Right.
for a roller coaster, it's like that's super fast. So it was like, but take it completely seriously. Um, we pitched it to them, crossed our fingers, and they loved it. And so I think if I could have any advice, just be fearless with your pitch, believe in your idea, and other people will too, and
Hey.
keep going at it. Like we we kind of like are annoying with it, but it's because we believe in the idea. We know the idea will work, and we believe in our vision. And it's like keep pushing for what you want to create.
Well, that was going to be my next question was like, if you wanted to give a piece of advice to kind of the next Zooder, if you will, or somebody who is like really into the idea of becoming a content creator, but it seems like you've got it there. It's keep pushing. Don't be afraid to take no for an answer. And, if you've got an idea, run with it.
Yeah. Well, and also I just want to share. I'm incredibly thankful for all the people that have helped me, because I would be nowhere if it wasn't for people like Scott Schaefer and some amazing people in this space that you know everyone helps each other out, and I think that's a beautiful thing, that we should all continue to work together and grow together.
I I love that. And it's cool. It's like who's kind of your content creator core group? Or there, I mean, if you want to shout them out, you can. If you I mean, I'm sure I know you don't want to forget anybody, but we talked about Scott, we've talked about Hunter and theme park hunting, but who are some other content creators you're tight with?
I mean, yeah, I've been able to work with a lot of amazing people. I've been able to work with park pros. I take a lot of inspiration from a lot of people outside of the amusement space. Um, and so like one of my close friends, he lives in South Africa and he makes like comedy TikToks. But we met at a creator conference, and he has just poured in so much knowledge when it comes to hooks, and like this guy, he doesn't make a video that doesn't go viral. His worst performing videos hit 500,000 views. And
Wow.
so like, yeah. And so like I've just been incredibly thankful to have such a great like network. His name on TikTok is John Mark Van Wyck. And then one of my friends, he's a YouTuber out in LA. His name is Tyler Blanchard, and we've worked together quite a bit too. Just like really, really amazing creators who have been doing this their whole lives, and big inspirations to me. And so I'm so thankful that like I could just text them and be like, "Hey, is this idea good?" And they'll be brutally honest with me.
But it usually is, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean, not all the time. Actually, it's usually not. But
okay.
like that's the strength of having other people, because you will always be blind in favor of your own idea. Um, so having other people to just like brutally shoot it down, but also like build you up. It's like, hey, that part sucks, but you could do this, this, and this to make it better. And I think that's great. But yeah, I mean, everything it just comes down to your network, the people that you know, the people that you're close with, like everybody helps each other out, and that's one thing that like Scott from the very beginning. If I need something, I know I can send Scott a text, and he's got my back, and he's like one of the coolest people in this industry.
Truly is. Before we wrap this up, I want to hit you with a couple of just rapid fire questions, if you're
Yeah.
good with that. All right. favorite steel roller coaster.
Favorite steel roller coaster. Do hybrids count?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm pulling up my rankings right now. Stardust Racers.
Okay. Favorite wood coaster.
The Voyage.
Okay. Favorite non-coaster attraction.
Favorite non-coaster attraction? Oof. It's like a tie between Monsters Unchained and the Star Wars one, Rise of the Resistance.
Okay. What's your favorite type of camera to shoot with? Your favorite make, model?
So, I mean, Scott has an amazing Sony. I don't know the exact model, but I'm trying to buy it. Honestly, I think what matters less than the camera is the story you have to tell. And so I shoot with just about anything that is available to me, whether it's my phone or my main cameras.
Okay. That's a good non-answer there. I'll let you have that one.
Yeah.
That's what coaster or attraction that you have not experienced do you want to ride the most?
Oh man, so badly do I want to ride Hyperion, not Hyperia. I mean, I want to ride Hyperia too. But once I found out there were hyper coasters that had inversions, I'm like, I need to ride that over at Energylandia.
Okay. And then what's the next park you're headed to outside of Central Florida?
Oof. Shoot, that's a good question. Outside of Central Florida, I'm looking at my calendar right now as we speak.
You're good.
I can get you like an accurate answer. I want to get out to Six Flags Great Adventure, but it's probably Six Flags New England for Quantum Accelerator.
Got it. I love it.
Yeah, very excited for that.
That was a good one. I don't know if it's one of those straddle coasters. I don't necessarily know if I fit, so I was going to try and go to Media Day, but I wasn't going to spend the money to go up there if I don't fit. So hopefully we've got Evan from our team is trying to go. So
Yeah.
if he's there, I'll connect him with you.
I've been on the one at SeaWorld San Antonio.
Yeah.
And that one is really like it was a big sleeper hit. I was not expecting anything from it. I was with Hunter and I'm like, do we have to ride this? And he's like, yeah, I need the credit. I'm like, whatever. And then I get off and I'm like, can we ride it again? So, it was a good
Awesome.
time.
Well, I've wrapped up the rapid fire.
Yeah.
And before we again tie this together, where can everybody follow you?
Pretty much anywhere under the name Zooder, ZOODER _ loopers. Sometimes there's not an underscore, but sometimes platforms require it. But TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are my main ones. Then I'm also like kind of, but not that active on Twitter.
That's okay. I feel like most people aren't active on Twitter unless you're voting in the Park Mania thing and people think you're Indiana Beach and a bot. It's a crazy thing for us right now.
I'll just post memes on there.
Hey, that's what it should be for.
Yeah.
For fun and excitement. So, Bryan, I really appreciate your time. This was a blast. I'm glad we could connect. I could learn a little bit more about the guy behind these crazy videos, and obviously I'll be tuned in, and I hope our audience will as well. And after you follow Zooder Loopers on all forms of social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere else he is, make sure you're following Coaster 101. We've got a website. Like I said at the very beginning, I prefer the written word, so I type a lot on the internet. I'm not as video savvy, but again, that's what Bryan's for. If you're listening, make sure you're liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, and all of the other podcast buzzwords, because the more people who listen to the show, the better chance we have of bringing on great guests. Much like Bryan here. So keep those reviews coming. Keep the positive feedback coming. Let's see, coaster101.com/merch for the latest and greatest theme park inspired Coaster 101 merch. And a huge thank you, as always, to Justin Mabry of JM Entertainment for our theme music. But Bryan, Zooder Loopers, everywhere you find him, thank you so much for the time. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Dude, thank you so much. And I would be honored to come on anytime.
We'll make it happen.
Woo.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Coaster 101 podcast, and we will talk to you again soon. See ya.